The Ministry of Finance, or MoF, has committed up to 50 billion ringgit in financing for the MRT3 Circle Line project. The initial estimated construction cost is 31 billion ringgit, and the cost of the land acquisition is estimated at 8 billion ringgit. MRT Corp CEO Datuk Muhammad Zarif Hashim said MoF will issue government-guaranteed Islamic bonds to raise the required funds for the massive rail project. The extra 11 billion ringgit is to be set aside as contingency. He told a media briefing that the utilisation of the 50 billion ringgit allocated by MoF is dependent on how the company manages the project in the next 8 years. For the next 1 to 2 years, the plan is to take advantage of the low interest rate environment by issuing sukuk to finance the project, as the cash from the government can be deployed for other public infrastructure projects. In spite of the funding commitment, Zarif highlighted the MRT Corp will adopt a hybrid financing model and said contractors are expected to shoulder the responsibility of funding the project whenever there is shortage of funds from the ministry. He explained the option for the hybrid funding model is to keep MRT Corp's financing options open. A company spokesperson pointed out that the proposed hybrid funding model would see a public and private partnership with contractors contributing to the upfront construction cost and receiving deferred payments as the project progresses. MRT Corp CEO Datuk Muhammad Zarif Hashim says the construction cost of MRT3 Circle Line is similar to the cost of the MRT2 Sungai Buloh Serdang Putrajaya line, which is expected to start operation in the coming quarter. Still at 31 billion ringgit, MRT3 would have the heftiest price tag. According to MRT Corp's official numbers, the MRT1 Sungai Buloh Kajang line costs 21 billion ringgit and the MRT2 line costs 30.5 billion ringgit, including land acquisition costs. According to Zarif, the first phase of MRT3 Circle Line should be ready to start operations in late 2028 and the entire project should be fully operational in 2030. MRT3 Circle Line will have a circular alignment running along the perimeter of Kuala Lumpur City at about 51 kilometres in length, split between 40 kilometres of elevated tracks and 11 kilometres of underground tunnels. It will have 31 stations, with 10 of them serving as interchange stations with the 8 existing rail lines in the Klang Valley. The tender for construction works will be opened in May, with the jobs to be awarded in the fourth quarter of this year. There will be 5 main packages, each with its own distinctive private funding initiative requirements. MRT Corp will announce details of these requirements soon. Some developers are expecting housing prices to rise as they brace for higher construction costs. Real Estate and Housing Developers Association REDA Deputy President Dato N.K. Tong said the latest survey conducted by the association showed that respondents expect construction costs to jump by an average of 19% this year as prices of building materials, wages and financing costs rise. Tong said it is challenging for property developers to raise their property prices as they may be at risk of pricing themselves out of the market if they try to factor in the inflation. But if developers do not price in enough inflation, they may be at risk of building at a loss. This conundrum has resulted in some players deciding to either reschedule their launches or sit out the uncertainty. REDA Vice President Zaini Yusof noted that developers have to do a lot of value engineering and look at the use of new technology to maintain the prices. Otherwise, he said future homes will be smaller in terms of built-up area as developers try to keep the prices within the grasp of would-be home buyers. According to Zaini, property players have been lowering their profit margins for the past 2 years, with some having margins at break-even point to sell the units. Fugitive financier Low Taek Joe is said to have stolen $1.42 billion from 3 bond transactions that Goldman Sachs Group arranged for 1MDB, while former Prime Minister Datuk Sri Najib Razak allegedly pocketed $756 million. According to a Bloomberg report, an FBI agent who traced the funds said this as he took the stand in the trial of ex-Goldman banker Roger Ng in New York today. Eric Van Dorn also reportedly told the jury that Najib's stepson Riza Aziz took $238 million of the $6.5 billion raised in the bond deals. Prosecutors have long alleged that Jolo paid bribes to officials in Malaysia and Abu Dhabi to facilitate the deals. But Van Dorn's testimony was the first time the US detailed how those involved were paid and how much they received. Van Dorn, who is a forensic accountant for the FBI, reportedly said he reviewed 59,000 bank records to determine where the money from the 31MDB deals went. According to the report, he said former IPIC MD Kadim Al-Kubaisi received $472.8 million, while another Abu Dhabi official who worked with IPIC's subsidiary received $76.6 million. Ng was said to have taken $35.1 million, while Leisner reportedly received $73.4 million. The Ministry of Transport, or MOT, says travellers using the Vaccinated Travel Lane (VTL) between Malaysia and Singapore, Thailand and Cambodia will no longer need to wait for their COVID-19 test results before being allowed to continue on their journey. This means a traveller would only have to undergo a COVID-19 swab test upon arrival and may then proceed to their accommodation via private transport or hired vehicle, as declared in the My Sejahtera Home Surveillance Order. Transport Minister Datuk Sri Dr. Wee Ka Siong said in a statement that these travellers must then self-isolate while awaiting their test results, which will be out within 24 hours. They will be cleared from isolation upon a negative test result. In the event of a positive result, travellers are to comply with existing health protocols prescribed by the Ministry of Health. This new standard operating procedure applies to all VTL arrivals at the Kuala Lumpur International Airport and the Penang International Airport from this Wednesday onwards.